What are some of the mistakes you've made and why? And what have you done to correct them? I know we could be here for many, many more days. Just
Yeah,
highlight, one or two or three.
I laugh because it was funny when I first started the business and I just met my wife. I was working during the day, making calls, and but then I also spent some time in the pool during the day, and
Hmm.
you know, it was kind of like, well, yeah, I own a business. I'm gonna do great things, but I realized I was only kind of half-ass working.
Yeah.
And I'm going, all right. And eventually and then at some point it was like, no, I'm gonna put my head down and grind it out. And sure enough, success came with that hard work,
Hmm.
and it grew. Um, I think there was one. I'll tell you, this was a learning experience for me. There was one year I was feasting, and we got this big union client, and we were writing a lot of business in the supplemental market. Made a lot of. It was a really great year. Made a lot of money, and I had a couple guys working for me that we were going to all these union things, writing all this business. And then that lasted for a good couple of years. And one year something happened, and we lost that group. The union decided they went a different direction, and they didn't want the product anymore. So suddenly we lost that, and I still kept spending as if I had that money coming in each month. And I put it into a point where like suddenly I'm like, wait a minute, hold on, I don't have this money, and I'm next
Um,
thing you know, where I went from zero debt to having credit card debt and all these
yeah,
other
right.
things. And I learned you have to adjust. You never know what tomorrow's going to
Hmm.
bring. You never know if that client's going to leave. So same thing. I can have one big client, but it may take 15 small ones to
That's
equal
right.
that. But if you lose that big one, how's it going to affect you?
Hmm.
And so I really started looking more, being more responsible financially years ago,
Hmm.
and paying attention to those things. So now, like, yeah, if I lose this big client, it's going to suck and hurt, but it's not going to, we'll just say, okay, great. We just move on and get new clients, and it's not going to hurt us
Hmm.
like it used to,
Yeah.
because we're being more financially sound. But I think paying attention to those numbers and realizing, you know, tomorrow could be the last day. But that was a big learning curve. Was just, you have to adjust, and especially again, if you're spending a certain way and you lose clients, you might have to let somebody go. You might have to bootstrap more. You might have to cut out that country club membership, or you might have to cut out things because of that. And
Hmm.
so watch those things and don't think, tomorrow's, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. Because next thing you know, you're going to find yourself, in debt. And that's the beauty. Now we have no debt. We're a profitable
Yeah.
company. We've got more employees. We can hire. We can afford to do what we want.
Hmm.
But I don't take that for granted because I never know what tomorrow's going to bring.
Right. That's great. Anything else?
Oh,
Is it,
I think also, and I see this a lot. And I had a moment where, I've got two younger kids now. They're 15 and 11, but there were times where I saw myself working all night and really not spending as much time with the family.
mm,
And years ago, several years ago, especially when my kids started playing sports, I changed that attitude of, you know what? No, my family's first. My kids are first.
mhm.
So I pretty much, like, now they get home at 4 or 5 from school, but they get out of school at 2:33. They come home. I kind of stopped working at that point. Take care of them, run them to soccer practice, make them a snack,
Mhm.
do the things for them. And if I have to come home and work later, great. But I also learned the work is still there tomorrow. So yeah, there might be a deadline where once in a while I have to stay up all night and really get it done. But overall, in the morning, they're leaving at 7:30. I'll just do it in the morning.
Mhm.
There was never anything so pressing that I need to ignore my family.
Mhm.
And so, I've taken that now. That's how I live. So family first,
Yeah, and I think
and
part of that is just self-care also, right?
yeah,
It's funny, my next newsletter is going out. We're talking about that exactly that, is, taking time for yourself, whatever that might be. There's no such
we
thing as a 9 to 5 day anymore,
that's
unless
a
you
hot
work for a
topic.
bank.
Yeah. Well, my wife just did. She just had a big in their association. They just hosted an event. It was about work life balance and how do you balance those things.
Mhm,
That's a hot topic. And I had on my show. I had Red Boswell, who's a longtime friend. He runs a association for
mhm,
franchisees.
mhm.
But he talked about. He said, there's no work. I asked him, how do you balance that? Because he's always traveling, and he said, there's no work life balance. He goes, I look at it as work life integration. He goes, my work is my life. My family is my life. My work and my family are my life. He talked about
Totally
how he
integrated,
integrates
yeah.
all of it, and he makes it all work together, where his family is actually part of his work. Just like my kids, they know, oh, it's Ovation. We sponsor things at their school. We do stuff. We keep it all combined. So it's part of the family. It's not, I go to work, I come home, now it's family time. There is that integration, but so it's not because there's no balance. I'm sorry, there's no balance. Some people can separate the two, but overall it's integrating. And how do you bring it all together and make it work harmoniously together? And there are those moments, but
Mhm.
it's a big topic now. We hear everyone talking
Well,
about
it
it.
is, and not it's not, and the reality is, it's I had a client when I was still in the search business say to me long ago. He said, "Listen, somebody wants to start talking about work-life balance, they are not a good fit for us." I mean, this is a fast-growing startup, right? There's
Yep.
really not gonna be a lot of work-life balance in a startup. I mean, if there's an emergency overnight, you're gonna be working on, their software engineers might be working on fixing a problem overnight,
Yeah.
right? But, the payout came, and it came very, very big. But,
Yep.
I think partly it's a matter of setting proper expectations and really knowing that there are also gonna be ebbs and flows.
Yeah.
Not always going to be 1, and it's not always gonna be 0. It's gonna be somewhere in between, and it's gonna move around,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
So
Well, yeah, I think you hit that too. Sometimes it is a 10 and you go, man, I'm going to have to work this night. I'll have to do 24 hours straight, get this stuff
yeah,
done. But then the other day is like, this is an easy day. I only have 2 hours.
yeah,
I can get everything done in 2 hours. And I think I'm going to relax
that's
today.
right.
I think when you can take advantage of that and you
Mhm,
realize that, if there's a slow time and it's not going to take advantage of that downtime, that me time,
mhm.
say, what, I think I am going to go. But, I used to do Zoom calls and on the C Suite network, we talked about this. I used to do these calls and Trisha would always tell me, she's like, yeah, you can always see Dan, like he'll get on the calls and I have my tripod with my phone on it. And my kids are in the soccer practice in the background or I'm at the baseball
Yeah,
field.
yeah,
And again, we talk about that integration. I found I can get stuff done and people are much more accepting now. It used to be, no, you got to be in the office. And
yes,
I think,
yes.
I think we've gotten into a position now where people are much more forgiving of, yeah, he's at his kid's soccer game or he's sitting at home because we've accept now you can work from home. Um,
Mhm.
it's become a lot easier. And actually, people say now, oh, yeah, he's always at his kid's soccer, but he's still on the call. He's still there. It does. We accept a lot more. And it's funny during COVID, I was getting a new group and it was a new client coming on. And I have these calls with the CFO. And I'm in my home office and I'm, where I am right now. And the CFO of this big company gets on. And of course, he comes on and he's got a ball cap backwards, sweatshirt, and he's sitting in his closet with clothes behind him.
Seriously?
And, and he said, I said, and we joked about it. And he said, well, he goes, yeah, this is the only place I can hide from my kids,
Oh, that's so
when I'm doing a
funny.
phone call. And we laughed about it. And I had
Yeah.
another one, the same thing was a CFO and he's sitting there as a, 500 in person company and he's in his kid's bedroom. And I joke with him, there's bunk beds behind him. And, I laughed and I said, we closed the meeting. I said, I only have one question for you. Do you sleep on the top or bottom? And
Yeah,
he laughed and
right.
that was,
Yeah, and I think that's a really, really great point because, so much now, I mean, I don't know if it's just COVID. I think the COVID must have caused this to happen.
yeah,
I've worked from home for, gosh, almost, I guess, 21 years now. So for me, it's not really any different. But the doorbell rings. I'm sorry. Can you excuse me? I've got to go grab the door or something. Or the dog is
yeah,
barking, or a cat's walking in front of my screen, and there goes a tail, and something like that. But I think people are far more accepting of that now. But the reality is, it's more authentic, really.
I agree.
Eh,
It shows the personal side of
that's
people.
right. And
That they have lives.
speaking
They're
of
doing,
barking,
and it is like I gotta take my, yeah, you hear my, like right now, my dog, I have the doors closed and we got the puppies barking. But while I'm sitting here, both my kids have come home from school.
hmm
I watch them walk in. That personal thing is like, hey, it's cool to see them. And one of them walked up and you were talking in the beginning and he's opening the door coming in to talk to me. I'm like, no, go away, go away.
on a call, on a
But it's a
call.
very personal thing. And I've been on calls where my son comes in. I'm like, dude, and then he'll come over and he'll peek his head in and wave. And
Right.
I'm like, I honestly don't care. And honestly, if you can't accept that I have kids and they're part of my life, then maybe we shouldn't work together
You
anyways.
know what? You are preaching to the choir, mister. I'll tell you that. If people are going to be that buttoned up and that uptight, you know what? You're probably not the right client for me.
Yep.
You're
Yep.
just really
I
not,
agree.
and it's okay for me to say no to you. It really.
It is. Yeah. You can. I can say no
Mhm.
but I do. I think we're in a very forgiving. It's weird because we are in a very forgiving in a business environment.
Right.
At the same time, I think society
Mhm.
is less forgiving.
Mhm. Carol Schultz here. Thanks for watching this excerpt from Authentically Successful. The conversation doesn't end there. So if you want to hear this episode in full and all my conversations with many other successful founders and CEOs, please visit verticalelevation.com/podcast.